I want to show you what a difference a small carved detail can make on a piece of furniture, a small little end table. I want to do that by giving you a sneak peek at our masterclass bow front end table course. Stick around. All right, welcome to the shop here in beautiful downtown Canterbury. It's dark, it's getting cold, but we're warm in the shop always as we explore the beautiful world of woodworking. And my favorite part of woodworking, as many of you know, is design. I love to design the pieces, and I do like making them too. that would be sad if I didn't, because design is only really a smaller part, but it can make such a difference. And what I want to talk about is just a little design element of adding a carved detail, and I'm going to show you a few other little design aspects that push this bow front end table to what I'm calling a masterclass project. So I'll reveal that, how far we are at the end of this session, which is going to be probably pretty short because I'm not going to show you a lot. If you want to get the whole thing, you got to be in the master class. And it's going on. Actually, on Saturday, we have the last session. So it's a lot of fun. I think some will attest who are on here. But let me show you the drawing of what we got here. This is the drawing that we're working on. Well, doesn't really show you a lot, but this is kind of a detail of the bow front end table course. And this is showing the drawer opening. And this was the original drawer profile and the original drawer front. We did a little sunburst front on it. Very traditional, with the front view of the drawer opening having the lower divider and the upper divider, and the drawer sliding in between the divider. And what do you know? I have an example of that table right here. This is a one that is missing the top, obviously, and the finish. This is a working model, as many of my projects are.
Base.
But yeah, you can see the classic legs there, and then this drawer is fitting into a more traditional drawer opening with an upper and lower divider. And here's that sunburst treatment with using this ribbon figure of mahogany and an ebony line edging. And that was a pretty nice table. I really enjoyed making this table, and that actually is our bow front end table course. You make that, and then the top has a lot of interesting veneer on it with edge banding, and really, really sweet project. But I couldn't resist, with my design itch, to share with you on the drawing what I called the masterclass version. And I just made a little block here when I was doing this drawing. We always make full-size drawings with all of our courses. And it was kind of on the back burner for what? How long has that been?
2 years.
2 years, okay. That's not too long,
exactly,
considering our back burner. But I had to get back to it. I wanted to close this off and make sense of this. So we've actually had what we've added on sessions, and we're calling it the masterclass version of this bow front end table. And simply the difference is just a couple main differences. If you look at the side of the table, the sides no longer are straight across, but they have this swag or curve. This is the original, and I'll share with you the curved version a little later. I'll reveal it right at the end here. But here we have the bottom straight edge with a curved side, and that was the original. But the new one has, the sides are going to have this kind of curved or swagged edge with the ebony line on it as well. But the big change is the drawer front. No longer are we having that traditional drawer front that fits inside the opening. But we're going to have what I'm calling an overlay drawer. So you have two drawer fronts. Basically, you have an inner drawer that sits inside the drawer opening as before. It'll fit flush, but it's a false front. Over the top of that, we're going to overlay a more decorative front. And that, you can see down here, this is detailed. This is a little central fan. This is a piece of ebony. And then this side of the drawer front can be treated with another sunburst or curved veneer or really whatever you like. But see, this is just a half view, so I want to just show you that. And you got a picture of it in the thumbnail if you noticed that already. But I just want to show you how we got to that point. The drawer front, or that overlay front, is laminated using 16th inch veneer. This is called special thickness veneers from our friends at Certainly Wood. And it's not too expensive, but this happens to be an African mahogany version. And I just laminated, how many layers? 5 layers.
5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 for the outer. And we laminated them over this form. This is the form that we talked about making in the course and for our original drawer front. And then we just extended it to this course. And this is the curve of our front. So I laminated these layers, and this is one of the outer fronts. So once they're glued up, you can scarcely tell that it is even glued up, but that consists of 5 layers. And then on the front, I knew I was going to do that fan carving, and I didn't want to carve into this special thickness veneer because it's not the greatest grade of mahogany. It's kind of soft and it's not Luan-like, but you know, when you have wood that's like light and soft and it just feels cheap, it's not that. It's not bad, but it's not good to have my feature carving be into. So I had to modify our drawer front. And what we did was we inlaid, and this still has the tape on it, but inlaid a triangle of 1/8 inch thick genuine mahogany. So this is a much higher grade and quality mahogany. And then after it came out of the press, like we had to route the recess, set that in, you know, you had to make that, and then laminate it in, and then smoothed it out, like card scraped, sanded, and got a new front now ready for the veneer. So after that, we put on our veneer, and I decided to go with solid veneer, kind of angled a little bit so it took on like a pleasing angle of the swag that I knew I was going to put in there of those dark ebony lines with the fan carving to be in the middle. So I just used some ribbon mahogany, and let me show you one of those fronts. Here's an actual front. Now this is pushed even more forward. Can you see right in there? Can you see that dark? There's the laminated mahogany right there. That's the wide part. And then at the top, you can see just that little bit. Now, after I veneered with the veneer, you can see we then routed an 1/8 inch recess for this solid gaboon ebony line, which then got pressed in and glued in. We did this, wow, it's just a couple nights ago, right? Yeah, it was just a couple nights ago. So we're getting ready for our final session on Saturday where we'll do the carving and talk a little bit about the top and get this over the finish line. But now that I have this set up, now I needed to think about the carving and how we're going to do that. So what I did was I took my drawing, and I'm just giving you a quick little overview. If you really want to get into this, you want to be in that course. But here we go. This is the carving that I wanted. So all I did was I made a little template out of cardstock, and then I poked through for the dotted lines, and this will be my flip pattern to make my lines for my carving. And this, what do I want to say? Oh, on the drawing, these lines all come up and they merge all at the point, and I decided that was a little too busy and clustered up there, so I ended up spreading them out a little more and having them, and then I like this much better. It carved much better, so, and it almost looks more like a shell rather than have all those lines meet up in the point. It just didn't work. So this is going to be our shell pattern for the center, and it's going to be set right here and then flipped, and we'll be outlining the bottom on each side. So that's all I did, was I just got this in position, traced out the bottom of the shell or fan, and then on this side, same thing. And then all I had to do was bandsaw it out. Just follow that line. And where it meets the ebony, then the ebony bottom of that becomes the cut line. So there's no need to make a line here. You're bandsawing right just proud of that ebony line around here and then around that ebony line. And let me show you a piece that I've already done that with. So here's a piece that's already been sawn out. So now you can start to see it taking shape. And because there was veneer over our beautiful solid inlaid mahogany, I set a router at just a veneer's thickness depth and quickly routed a lot of that veneer off and then card scraped it till I got the glue off. Now I'm on that genuine mahogany. Isn't that nice?
Nice.
And you can see where you just barely see the edges. So we covered it nicely, and now we can carve up to an 1/8 inch. Won't even go that deep, barely half of that. So once I had that set, then I just used my pattern, and I made a few little lines in there, but it's super easy. You just put your pattern on there once you've made it, and
no problem.
it's just
Super easy.
well, it is when we talk it through, right?
Yeah, it is.
So we just put this, line it up with the bottom, and because I've taken away that veneer, now it's against the edge nicely. And then I just make a few marks at these little points. And when you get those, I can barely see them, but I can start right down here at this little offcut and make a sweeping line. And I would probably knock this one out. I think it stops right in here. And then do the same with the next one. And on this side, I've already got them drawn in, so I'll just darken these up a little bit.
Looks like a table saw blade right now.
Yeah, it needs a little attention. So that bottom edge gets cleaned up nicely.
Tom, Troy's asking for you to discuss why you didn't make your own layers and laminate.
Well, I didn't make my own layers in laminate. Oh, and I bought the, you can certainly, but it's places like this, it was just cheaper and easier to get the special thickness, you know, getting that down. A lot of times I do. And, but it's quite affordable actually when you calculate the time for you to get that mahogany. You know, I wanted mahogany, so I knew it was African. And then you'd buy it, you'd flatten it, you'd resaw it, you'd sand it, and going through your drum sander and all that. By the time you're done that, for not a large project, you calculate your time. You go, well, should I have just bought that? It's almost like, you know, we don't go cut all trees down, you know. It's sort of weighing the time cost. So in this case, it was not worth it to me to do that, but that is always a good option. But But I did want to make sure we had a nice quality piece of mahogany. So there it is right there. And I just want to give you a very quick demo of how go about carving a fan like that. I'm just going to show you one little lobe of it. So this is like I was telling the course attendees the other night, like it's kind of a challenge as you get going with these projects, because the longer you're going with them, the more investment you have in that piece.
We should
And-
state that these are not in person, they're online courses, if people don't know that. This is something that
Yeah, right.
you can have access to, and we film the sessions live with Tom actually doing the work,
Yeah, and then you have access
real
to
time.
them. Yeah, and to go back.
answers questions. and things.
Right. So this I'm carving, routing that line in there was a little stressful because we had a lot invested in that piece, and then had to plunge route into it. And then now the next phase is carving into it. This is a little slower, but what I do was I take my surgical scalpel, because you're like a surgeon right here, and just make a cut line right along the edge of the ebony. So this kind of defines the outer portion of it, and it starts to separate that mahogany from it. So by making these cut lines and being patient with it, you can follow and make some nice sweeps. If I was doing a lot of these, I'd probably make little templates and use them to make the cut lines. But in this case, it's only a few drawer fronts, so I'm just gonna put it right on my pencil line and lightly drag the first time. I'm not trying to go deep, because if I try to put a lot of pressure, it'll be hard to keep the line. And I'm just following the sweep of this right on out to meet our curve. Then I would cut that a little deeper. And to get a good effect with this carving, carving does not have to be as deep as you might think. It's you can get a really strong effect with only like a 1/16 of an inch depth in something like this. All right, so that's about it. So I would go ahead and cut my lines out, and in the center, the way I'm doing this one is I'm going to have a lobe in the center, and the other ones are going to be like fans. I could make them all lobes, but I kind of like the contemporary little difference with a fan instead of creating a lobe here. So the middle will be like this, and then this next lobe, it'll be high, and it'll slope down like a fan, just like a handheld fan. And then that one, this edge will be high, and this will cut down, and this edge is high, and this is cut down. So to cut it, what's cool is a simple chisel will create the effect. I'm just going to hold it at an angle and just lightly push that corner in and just take off the mahogany right up next to the ebony like this. So you just get a start. You know, the first one is kind of light, and then you have more confidence because you can feel the ebony is your side guide. Okay, so first I'm just kind of making that mitered or facet at this angle. Now I can flatten out the chisel a little bit and start rounding off this lobe a little. If the grain changes, you got to come from the other direction, but right now it's pretty good. I do have carving chisels where I have some soft little radiuses too, back bent gouges and things. But I just wanted to show you how simple it is with a, this is just a 1/2-inch chisel. And by putting the bevel side down, I have like a control of depth, and I've got it at a comfortable angle. So now I'm going to just take this. And I really don't need to go much more than a 1/16. I could go a little bit more than that. I could come back, but I'm going to just leave that for starters. Then you'd come into the next one. And again, I don't know if I made that knife cut deep enough, but I got to be careful not to hit the other side, or I could tear it up. But again, you're just going to cut along like that. Once I get it to a little depth, I'll go back and knife the lines again. And at the end, if you had a little waver, you can clean that up with a little light little file. So all that gets forgiven. Trying to be careful down here. Sometimes the grain switches on these, but I can feel what a difference in texture. This has a good density and a nice agreeable texture because it's genuine mahogany, a wonderful wood to carve. That's why it was so common in the 18th century. And you saw those ball and claws and shells carved on objects and acanthus leaves and things like that. Anyway, there you get the idea. Let me just pop this off. I'm not going to go all out on it. I just want to show you. I don't know. We don't have.
You'll be going into depth in the session.
Yeah, we're going to go into the whole thing. Yeah. So we'll go into that. I just want to give you a taste of how light a carving you can have to make a pretty nice effect. And once this is done, what happens is the second table is made with a recessed, these dividers are set back like that drawer front to allow room for the overlay to go in there. So see the difference? It's going to come in, and our contemporary version will be like this. But let me pull up a drawer where I have the carving finished so you can get a quick look at it. It's not installed, but it's pretty near done. So you can see the difference. I don't know, that's probably, that flat light is not showing the depth of it, but raking light really shows carving. Is that showing up?
It helps.
A little better?
Yeah,
A
that's
little better?
much better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So from either side, you can see how it reflects light.
Beautiful.
I may go a slight bit deeper on that. But isn't that an interesting treatment? So we have on this table, from the side view, we have not a straight bottom, but a swag, which has this nice sweet sweeping curve. And do you notice anything else? When the veneer was laid on there, I chose a piece intentionally that had curvature to it. So the veneer is applied and the curve of the grain follows really sweetly the sweep of the bottom edge of the drawer side. So these all come in a little higher than the early first version. And then you can see from the corner, this will be attached to the drawer front. How the corner ends, you have this sweeping up to visually meet the same height as over here. But what I love about this technique is that without the drawer dividers in the way, like here's how the interior of the drawer is made. We've got these through dovetails. So we built the drawer very traditionally, but it sits into the recess and it lands flush with the dovetails coming out. And that's no problem because this is going to get attached to that front. So in the end, we'll have this double front that'll appear as one. And then this will be fit a little lighter. This is going to be cut a little shorter, skimming it off. and there'll be a little finger hold under here because this drawer front needs no pull. You reach under and you'll pull it open this way. But what I love about that recessed divider is that it presents this new opportunity in furniture design and making in general. You no longer have the dividers as a interruption to the surface. So with the overlay style, you're free to veneer and apply designs in a creative way like this. So really, your imagination is the only limit, and it makes for a really enjoyable time. I've shown you other high chests and things where there's no drawer dividers, but you have that seamless look, like that chest on chest we did sometime before. But this is a nice small example of what can be done when you hide those drawer dividers. So that's why we call it our masterclass, and we're having a lot of fun in that. If you like either of these tables, I think you really love that class. But
Yes.
question?
So Vincent's asking, can the carving be done separately and be applied to the drawer front to allow for mistakes without ruining the whole front overlay?
Yeah, sure it can, Vincent. A lot of times 18th century furnitures, they did make quite frequently, they'd make shells and they were applied into various pieces. Front centers of chairs, the famous Townsend block front shells, the convex shells on the sides were both applied. But yeah, you can do it. But you know what? It's really not that hard. I always do some practicing first, so you'd have a piece of material, lay it out, and get your kind of muscle memory, get a feel for it. But it's such a light, delicate, you're taking it off slow, and I'm going to walk everybody through that in the course. So it's not that intimidating once you get a little practice and then you go for it. I think you'll really enjoy it. In this case, I like it in the drawer because it's kind of surprising. It's because we're fooling the eye a little bit. We're using veneer in kind of a decorative way. I love using veneer to create like a dynamic sense of movement almost in the piece. And I've got this veneer here, but then you're thrown in this carved element. And so there's the, hey, wait a minute, is that solid wood or is that veneer? Well, clearly it's not solid the way these are, but then you have a carved detail into the piece that is solid. So it's kind of fun to combine solids as these legs are with veneered and then carved details.
And
like
pillowed,
that.
of course.
Oh yeah, pillowed legs, of course. Yeah. But that's it. So there's a little sneak peek at the masterclass and what a difference a carved detail can make. You can see the first version and the second. Quite a dramatic difference and kind of a contemporary style.
That's great.
All right.
Awesome.
Are there any other, are we good?
Nope, good.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. I want to share with you, real live things that are going on as we have them here in the shop. And we love just opening our lives and the shop to you as well. Also, hey, if you like this content, check out epicwoodworking.com. Lots of courses on there, not as extreme as this. You can start a beginner, go right up on through. But we're having some fun now, so we'd love you to be a part of our little family in the neighborhood or whatever. So thanks for being part of this. Remember,
Yes.
like, share, and subscribe as well on YouTube. And on behalf of the camera lady and myself,
Yes.
we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next time right back here on Shop Night Live.
Oh boy.
Good night, everybody.
Get ready, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
I got to get it out when I can.
Thanks so much.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Great to be with you, everyone. Have a great weekend.